Okay, here's your homeowner report for 92782 Tustin Ranch single family homes going into November of 2021. There's a few things that you need to know. Hi, my name is Anthony Nitz. I'm with eXp Realty, and I've been doing this since 1997 in Tustin, helping people buy and sell houses. So what we're going to talk about on this report is we're going to talk about pricing data. So what's going on with prices in Tustin Ranch single family residence. We're going to talk about sales data, and then we're going to get into predictions. That's always fun to get into, learn about what's happening. Of course, we are again just looking at houses. If you want to have a report done for your particular area or particular property type, we have another report that we do for condos as well. Then definitely reach out to us. We'll be happy to send that to you. Or you can always go to the official Rustin and Tustin YouTube channel. You'll probably find it there as well. Okay, let's get into it. So for the 92782 zip code, what we're looking at here is we're going to look at some sales or some price data. We go back 5 months because we kind of want to see if there's any trends going on that we need to be aware of. We're looking at median and average. I know some of my mathematician friends are ripping their hair out going, man, why are you doing average? You know, for this type of data, we just look at median. But I'm going to tell you right now, the data set is so small, it's really hard to get a good, accurate reflection of what those median prices are. You'll see what I'm talking about as we get going. So we look at median and average just as a comparison. Let's get right into it. So in June, for median, we were at 1,000,003 and average 1,665,000. This is what I'm talking about, where sometimes things are off just because of the small data set. July, we're at 1,335,000, 1,458,000. In August, we're at the median of 1,338,000. And then we average 1,733,000. So you see there's a huge gap in between those numbers, which kind of throw things off a little bit or create some confusion. Anyways, in September, median 1,530,000. So we're definitely going up here. Peak out here in August, and then 1,661,000 is what the average sale is in September. October, we drop back down to 1,385,000 and to an average of 1,465,000. Okay, so I'm looking at these numbers and I'm just calling it a wash. Okay, because there isn't any specific trend. There isn't like, okay, it's going up, 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 or down, 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 down. There isn't like that. It's just kind of all over the place. And again, it's because we have so few homes to use data on that we just have to take it for what it is and be able to read between the lines on it. So it's kind of a wash, but it's saying that the market is still very good. If we take out the 1,530,000 for the median, you know, we're hanging out in that 1,003,000 range as far as the median goes. But we definitely got some good averages that are saying that homes are selling above what that median price is. Okay, and then let's take a look at sold percentage of list price. So in other words, how much are people paying above the original list price for each of those properties? It's a good indicator of where the buyer's mindset is. In June, 102.8%. July was 101.7%. August, 102.1%. September, 102.7%. And in October, 105.2%. So this is actually pretty darn good, and obviously you're going to get a green arrow on this one. Where is it? There it is. It is a good thing for you, the homeowner, whether you're planning on buying or selling your home or not. It's good to know that buyers are going, yes, we want your properties in the Tustin Ranch area, and they're willing to pay a little bit over it if you're using the right pricing strategy. Because you know, there's people right now who are saying, gosh, I got a 1,003,000 home. Let's put it for 1,005,000 and see what happens. Not a good pricing strategy because it's not like these are selling for 125% over ask price. They're selling at 105%. So the market is definitely knows where it wants to be as far as the homes go. So let's take a look at price per square foot sold. So price per square foot sold in June, $526. You got $514 in July. You've got $542 in August and $546 in September, where it peaked out. And then in October, it dropped to $523. So again, I'm just calling this a wash. because it's not really, again, not really a consistent trend up or down. It's just kind of saying, hey, you know, we're definitely hanging out between the 520s and the 540s is where we're at as far as a cost per square footage. And depending on your condition and your location and what you're near, and do you back up to a major street, or you know, do you have special amenities, or are you kind of need some updating and rehabbing, you can use these numbers as kind of just a rough, very rough basis to say, okay, well, I know how much square footage I have. What kind of price range could I be in, right? There's so many factors that goes into pricing, though, so don't take that as a hard number at all. Just take it for what it's worth and go, okay, you know, something to consider. And if you want you know, more specific numbers, of course, let us know. We're happy to help you out with that. Let's talk about sales data in 92782. By the way, just so you know, in Tustin Ranch, there are only 3,969 single-family homes. That's it. So when we're looking at these numbers, you kind of look at that, and you look at the what I'm about to show you, and you're going to go, oh my gosh, wow, that's the numbers that we have are nothing. And you understand why I'm talking about a small data set. So let's look at new listings that have come on the market. So in June it was 14. In July we peaked out at 25 whole listings. 25 out of roughly 4,000 homes came on the market. Back in the day when I was just starting in real estate, 1997, you know, they would train us and they would tell us, what is deemed a normal market is that at any point in time, 10% of the available inventory is up for sale. Okay, and so that would mean that right now there would have to be 400 homes listed up for sale in Tustin Ranch, yet we're only getting 14 and 25 listings coming on the market. Not anywhere near that, right? And we haven't been like that. I can't remember that we've ever been at 10%. We kind of hover more around 3% of the inventory in a, you know, what we would consider a normal market, I guess you could say. So we're really, really, really low. 19 listings in August, 6 listings in September. Six, that's it. And then in October, we had 8 listings. So this is in favor of you, the homeowner, of course, because that means really, really low. I was waiting for that green arrow to come up, but we're really, really low in inventory, okay? And why the bump, though? Why this big bump? We had 25 and 19 in August, and then suddenly a drop. Well, if you remember, September 14 was the recall election. Okay, so if we had the recall election, there's probably a lot of people who were kind of going, oh my gosh, we don't know what's going to happen one way or the other. And so either, you know, we need to get out of here, or we're going to cash out now and then see what happens, or, you know, a lot of different reasons. Some people make decisions for different reasons. So I'm guessing that's why we had that increase in the listings, was because of that recall. So let's move on to days on market. Important to know, because again, it helps us get an understanding of how long it takes to get a house sold. And just so you know, days on market it's not I sold my house and now 5 days I'm moving. Days on market is how long until I got a viable offer on my house. And now then you go through the escrow process, which is, you know, 30 to 45 days typically. So we're talking 5 days in June, we're talking about 12 days in July, we're talking about 7 days in August, 15 days in September, 14 days in October. So this is basically telling you that on average, again, we're using averages because we have such low numbers, we're looking at, you know, 1 to 2 weeks is how long you could expect to have your house on the market before you get a good viable offer that you can walk away with. Okay, and I'm just calling that a wash again because it's not any big trend. If you see data going up as far as days on markets goes, then that means now typically inventory is increasing, buyer demand is decreasing, or affordability is decreasing, something like that. But that's not the case right now. But this is something that is very interesting. And when I look at this data, and it just blows my mind that this even happens like this, but we're talking about the number of homes that have fallen out of escrow. So what we're looking at is, so in June 2021, 2 out of the 14 homes that were listed fell out of escrow. Okay, that's okay. All right. But when we're looking at these other months, 10 out of 25 homes fell out of escrow for 40%. 68% of the homes that were listed in August received an offer that they and their agent thought was a good offer, and then it blew up, okay? This is crazy to me. This is ludicrous that this many homes would fall out of escrow. I gotta tell you what, as long as I've been selling real estate, if I had, half of the listings that I took fell out of escrow right out of the gates, I wouldn't be in this business anymore. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I have my reasons why I think that it's happening. But I will tell you this, completely avoidable, totally avoidable. Okay, a couple reasons why homes fall out of escrow is sometimes it's financing with the buyers, but a lot of times, probably in this landscape, it probably has to do with inspections. The buyers come in, they do an inspection, and they go, gosh, for the price that we're paying for your home, we found all these things that are wrong, and we really want those addressed because, we're paying a good price for your home. And a lot of sellers are just kind of standing firm and going, no, sorry, take it the way it is or don't take it, okay? And those buyers are probably pulling out. But the problem with that, when a house falls out of escrow, is it creates a whole different layer of disclosure issues that, could affect that secondary buyer. And it's most likely that these buyers, or almost certainly that these sellers had a backup offer waiting in the wings for them anyways. So probably not that big of a deal. But still, shouldn't have to be going through this. Creates a lot of anxiety and frustration. Okay, let's talk about closed sales. So closed sales, 17 in June, 13 in July, 19 in August, 21 in September, and 9 in October. So again, we're probably talking about the effects of the recall election, people putting their house on the market and then more selling, but as fewer homes came on the market, obviously fewer are going to close. But this also is an indicator that there's still more homes selling than there are what's coming on the market, right? So that's a good thing for the sellers, or just homeowners in general. So we're giving that a good green arrow up. Months supply. So months supply is an indicator of how long it would take to sell the current inventory that we have. If we took no new listings whatsoever and just had to sell what we have, how long would it take for that entire inventory of single-family homes in the Tustin Ranch area to sell? And you can see we're talking 1 month, 0.9 months, 0.6 months. So basically 0.6, that means 18 days. 18 days, everything's gone. All the homes in Tustin Ranch are sold if no new listings came on the market, and 9.9 months in October. So this is obviously a really good thing for homeowners to know. It's really solid as far as, you can probably reasonably expect to put your house on the market and know that you're not going to have a lot of competition because everything else is flying off the shelves. So let's talk about predictions though, going into 92782. So normally I would give this just a green flag with all that data that we had. Good data. There's nothing real negative. I mean, I would give it just a good, everything's good for sellers. However, hold on, you're going to enjoy these predictions I'm about to give you, but what I'm about to tell you is even better. Everybody knows that when you're selling a house in tip-top condition, you're always going to get a much higher sales price and more profit. But did you also know that there is a way to do all the repairs and rehab, no matter how big or small, with no upfront cost? Let me show you how. It's important to understand that most buyers, when they buy a house, they're buying at the top of their available price range. And so if the median home sale price in Orange County, we'll call it $1 million. We know it's higher than that, but we'll call it, if the median is $1 million and your house is in disrepair, what will end up happening is that at least 2/3 of those buyers, if these were all the buyers in Orange County, would go away. They would disappear. And so now this is all the buyers that you're left with, because most buyers, like I said, buy at the top of their price range, and that usually means that they don't have an extra $50,000 or $150,000 laying around to completely rehab a house that they just bought, that now they're going to have to wait weeks or even longer to get into the house, and increasing their expenses even further. And even if they did have that money, they probably want to spend it on furniture and decor for their new home to make it their own, right? And of the ones who would still consider a house that's in disrepair or a fixer-up or something like that, you could even take away a good part of those, because what they're probably going to do is they're probably going to go, you know what, we're probably just going to pass on this one because, same reason. The money that's going to come out of their pocket afterwards, unless they're getting a really, really, really good deal. And so then what's left is you have investors. You have investor buyers, or people who are looking to take your house at a really low price, who are willing to do all those repairs after the fact. And as a result, you have fewer buyers interested in your house, who are going to get you a whole lot less money and less profit in your pocket, and you're going to walk away disappointed. But you can have all these repairs done, and have it done with no upfront cost whatsoever, and get you a whole lot more profit. This is an actual real-world case study. These are both real houses. They just so happen to be right next door to each other. They both came on the market at exactly the same time, and they both featured similar qualities, so they were very comparable. House A was asking $1,180,000, which they reduced from $1,225,000. House B was asking $1,525,000, which they increased from $1,475,000. House A was not rehabbed at all. It was in good shape and it was well maintained, but it was very outdated. House B was fully rehabbed. House A took 35 days to sell. House B took 2 days to sell. House A sold at $424.16 per square foot. House B sold at $533.96 per square foot. House A had 5 bedrooms and a 3-car garage. House B only had a 4 bedrooms and 2-car garage. House A was even offering more commission to the agent than House B. Now, if we just make some assumptions about the loan balance of being 0 on each one, so we can just get a same net proceeds, and the rehab cost on House A was 0 because they did no rehab. House B, they spent about $150,000. House A, the closing costs estimate is about 1% for Orange County. Same thing with House B. So their closing costs would have been about $11,800, which is less than House B. House A, if they listed with us, would be 1% on the listing side, or $11,800. House B, the listing side, would have been about $15,250. House A, if they're paying a 2.5% buyer side, it'd be $29,500. House B, if they were paying a 2.5% buyer side, which we know they only paid 2%, but if they were paying 2.5%, would have been $38,125, so much more than House A. Yet the proceeds on House A were $1,126,900. Yet the proceeds on House B was $1,306,375. For a difference of $179,475. With the 0 upfront cost to rehab your house, there are no hidden fees, there's no interest, there's no income required, and there's no credit checks. So the evidence is clear that rehabbing your house before you sell it will put more money in your pocket. So if you'd like to get a free, no pressure, no obligation walkthrough of your house, where I can tell you how much more profit you would make when you sell your house by doing certain repairs with no upfront cost, then just call the number that's on the screen or visit the link that's on the page and put in your information, and I will be happy to come and visit with you and just hang out and just share with you what I can. Let's get back to the predictions. There's nothing real negative. I mean, I would give it just a good, everything's good for sellers. However, I'm going to give this kind of more of a light green flag. Some of the other areas got a yellow flag, but you guys are lucky you got a light green flag. And the reason is because of some new information that just came into the marketplace that, to me, threw up a huge red flag. We'll cover that in a second. Let me do a quick little recap. So negatives, very, very slight decrease in average sale price. Very, very slight. But the abnormal number of homes falling out of escrow is unnecessary and just crazy to me. So, but the positives, obviously, people are continuing to overbid. Would we have 105%? Average cost per square footage is up. With the number of new listings means low competition, not a lot of new listings coming in. Month supply means low inventory. Closed sales, again, getting rid of any competition that does come in the marketplace. Those closed sales are happening and moving those properties out. So some of the news that came out. Now this one here, this was not critical, but it's important to pay attention to keep an eye on, because Mortgage Bankers Association put out this article, I want to say it was the third week of October, that said that they fully expect interest rates to increase to 4.0% for a 30-year fixed mortgage by the end of 2022. Okay, that's like a year away at the end of 2022. But they didn't say when in 2022. They just said by the end of 2022. And so, not something critical to worry about right now, but just be aware, keep an eye on rates, because if rates do increase, for perspective here, if rates increase 1%, just 1%, that eliminates somebody's $60,000 of affordability for the typical buyer. Okay, so you've got your house, it's $1.4 million, and somebody's coming along and they look at that $1.4 million house, but now all of a sudden the rate goes up, and all they can do is afford $1.34 million, right? So now that buyer's out. And then what happens, you go, well, there's still other buyers, but that buyer who can now afford $1.4 million, you know, they were looking at houses in the $1.45 million, $460,000, $470,000 range, and they might have to, sorry, I hate to put it this way, settle for your house. But with buyer psychology, typically buyers, once they start seeing houses that they like in the price range that they can afford, and then they have to downgrade, they will never ever be satisfied. And what happens is a lot of buyers, when rates start to go up, is they just pull themselves out of the buyer pool, and then they just decide, well, we're just going to wait a little while to see what happens, which now decreases the buyer pool, most likely increases inventory and things like that. So keep an eye on the rates. Not critical now, but in the future could be. But these two articles here put up a huge red flag for me. Huge red flag. It says Zillow announces 25% of workforce will be laid off as home buying business will end. So you have to understand what Zillow's business is. Their business, one aspect of it is that they were buying homes. So they would buy your home for 60, 70 cents on the dollar. They would refresh it up, make it look nice and pretty, and then put it back on the market and sell it for a profit. And they're shutting down that whole division. Not just like we're scaling back, shut it down. They shut it down. 2,000 employees being laid off as a result of it. And we're going to sell 7,000 homes after flipping halt. They're done. They're done buying homes. So the other thing you got to understand is Zillow is probably one of the largest data aggregators in the real estate space, maybe in the world. And if they're getting this, if they're taking all the data and they're crunching it, you know, they're analyzing the heck out of it, and then they say, whoa, stop buying houses. What does that tell you? Why would they stop buying houses? You know, but tell you it's okay to go ahead and keep buying houses. But if you look at it and you just kind of read between the lines, a few things are happening here. Number one, they're saying that they're going to dump the houses. Okay, those aren't the actual words they use, but if you kind of read through the different articles and you go, oh, based on just kind of the wording and the feel of the way that it's written and the press releases and stuff like that, is they're getting rid of it. They're getting rid of it. They're going to be selling off 7,000 homes, and they're probably not going to go put signs in front of it and say, hey, house for sale. Right? What they're probably going to try to do is they're probably going to sell it off to investors so that they can recoup what they paid for it, or they can make just a few dollars off of it. There was profit to be made. Why would they be dumping these off? Okay, they said that this report or this decision was based off of a Q3 earnings report saying that, due to lack of profitability, we're going to sell these properties. But if all you had to do with houses selling in less than 2 weeks, go in, put a coat of paint, and turn around, sell it, and make a lot of money, why would you suddenly cut it off? Because that would be profitability. Yet they're saying because of profitability that they're cutting this off. Another factor to consider is if they're going to bring 7,000 homes into the marketplace, granted in our area, maybe they only bring 10 homes into Tustin. They only have 10 homes listed in Tustin Ranch. But we had, if they did 10 new listings in Tustin Ranch, and if they did them all at the same time, that essentially doubles the new listings that come on in that given month and could be perceived as, oh my gosh, now everybody's putting their house on the market. Oh my gosh, there's less competition, and now the buyers have more to choose from, and therefore prices start to get a little more competitive. Okay, so I'm telling you this, take it for what it's worth. It's something to really keep an eye on. I've been doing this since 1997, and my crystal ball, as much as I try to get it to work, never really gives me the answer. And don't let anybody else tell you that they have the exact answer of what's going to happen tomorrow, because in all this time of doing this, there's one thing that I've learned. There's only two ways to know when you've hit the peak of the market and when you've hit the very bottom of the market. There's only one way to know, and that is 6 months after it's already passed. Okay, so even the federal government doesn't know what's going to happen, as indicated back in 2008 when the market crashed. Last time they were like, oh my gosh, Alan Greenspan's like, oh my gosh, I don't know, how did that happen? Okay, something really important to pay attention to. Okay, and then also, of course, you have the media who's kind of fueling the fans of the flame of, is there going to be a market crash, right? Should you prepare for a housing market crash in 2021? I think it's supposed to say 2022 because it just came out, unless, again, they know something we don't. One of the best headlines, and you probably get a kick out of this too, it says, no one seems worried about a housing bubble, just like the last time the bubble burst, right? And it's true, 2008, the last time the bubble burst, people up to the very last day, even beyond the last day, were like, no, this is going to continue forever. It's going to be crazy and to skyrocket, and we're going to make so much money and blah, 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 right? We just don't know until 6 months after it's passed. We're like, oh my gosh, should have sold that. And then also finally, we still don't know what the effects of the eviction and foreclosure moratoria are going to be. We just don't know. The state has said that they're going to come in and they're going to help out renters catch up on back rent payment, that they're going to help the owners of rental properties catch up on their back mortgage payments that they may have missed as a result of not collecting rent. But as of this moment, I haven't seen anything that says that that's actually happening yet. Okay, so, and if you have information on that, I'd love to see it. Share it with me. I'd value that information. And then as far as foreclosures go, we got to understand that a few real key dynamics in the foreclosure space are kind of taking place. So first of all, we had 1.2 million people still in forbearance as of, I think it was last month. 1.2 million people still in forbearance, and now the CFPB, or Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, came out and said, banks, you better work out a deal with these consumers, or else we're going to fine you millions and millions and millions of dollars, right? Unlike 2008, when the market crashed and the banks just started throwing out foreclosures like it was candy, right? In this case, the banks are now going, okay, I don't want to be the first one to pop my head up and start yelling foreclosure, because then CFPB is going to go, aha, you're the one, and we're going to chop you and fine you and all that stuff. And so I think the banks are going to be looking at each other going, okay, are you putting out foreclosures? Well, we did a few. Okay, well, we'll do a few. And then they start doing a little more and a little more and a little more. and probably try to keep it on an even keel so that they nobody stands out would be their smart approach to this, right? But there's people who are not making payments, so they have to do the foreclosures. They might have worked out with a good handful of them to do loan modifications and things like that. But here's the reality. The reality is a lot of people who maybe have lost their jobs and things like that, they haven't been able to get back to a job where it's paying the same so that they can't afford to keep making those payments as agreed, even with a loan modification or something. So if you don't pay, you don't get to keep the house. It's that simple, right? It's just how it works. And if they're smart, they would just sell it, get the cash, the equity out of their house that they have right now, as we're seeing, and and figure out what's next. So anyways, we just don't know what's going to happen with that yet. The foreclosure process takes about 4 months, 121 days to minimum to complete. So even if they start putting out foreclosures, it's still not going to be until 4 months after that you're going to actually see those properties come available on the marketplace, but it will have an effect somehow. So anyways, this is your report. If you got any questions or anything like that, you want to chat, you want me to get you a special report just for your area, or if you're thinking about selling or buying a house in the Tustin area, definitely give me a call. I'm happy to help you out in any way that I can. Take care. Have a great day.